What's up, nerds? We're going to do the exercises from chapter 2 in your workbook. Okay, so if you want to follow along with me and do these with me, that's great. If you want to check your work, that's also great. Just do this before tomorrow because all these things are going to be helpful. They're all going to be exactly what you need to know for the test tomorrow. All right, so for number 1 up here, we have habito, habitara. It's really as far as we need to go. We have our second principal part, habitara. A with the macron is always going to be first. Habeo, habera. That's an E with a macron, so it's got to be second. Woko, wokara has to be third. Teneo, tenera has to be, third. That was me just counting because I'm hungry and tired. First for number 1, second for number 2. Number 3 is not third. Don't do what I did. Number 3 is first. Okara. All right. Number 4, teneo, tenera. That's going to be second. Amo, amara. That has the A with the macron, so that one's first. Paro, parara is also going to be first. All right. So anything that has A with the macron, first. Anything that has E with the macron, second. And A with the macron that I'm talking about, the E that I'm talking about, is the one that's right before the RE. All right. So that is exercise 1. It's a great place to get started. That's where we started in the chapter, so that's where we're going. I'm not going to go over these derivatives a lot. I'm just going to go ahead and say the answers. All right, so here we go. The answers for the derivatives. Number 1, the answer should be C. The one for number 2 is B. Number 3 is A. Number 4 is B. Number 5 is C. Number 6 is D. Oh, sorry, C. Number 6 is C. Number 7 is D. Number 8 is A. Number 9 is D. Number 10 is B. Number 11 is D. Number 12 is A. Number 13 is C. No. B, my bad. 13 is B. Number 14 is... Oh, this is a hard one between these two. A and B. A. Number 14 is A. Number 15 is D. Number 16 is B. Number 17 is D. All right, D. All right. So those are the answers for those. Those are just digging into the vocab, but don't focus too much on that if you made any mistakes, okay? These ones are just filling in gaps for the endings that you guys have learned this chapter. Sorry, I know the glare is really bad. Let me put that in a place where you can see. All right. First person, O or M. All right, second person is going to be S, T. All right, so the English is right here. So don't put must right here. The English goes right here. O or M means I. S means you. T means he, she, it. All right. So here's the Latin again. So must goes here. Tis goes there. Must, tis, and ut. Must means we. Tis means y'all. And nt means they. All right. Once again, you is also okay for that spot in the second plural. All right. So here we go. Now for these ones, these are just some conjugation practice. You guys also have the chart available to you that I gave to you in class if you want to check up your work there. If you want to finish any of those that you didn't do, that's fine. Just choose any verbs. One more first conjugation, one more second conjugation to do. All right, here's the verb for to call. First principal part, no matter what it looks like, you can just circle it and put it right in that first spot. That's what you can do for the present active. This chapter, what we're learning, that's what you can do. All right, for all the rest, second person singular, third person singular, first person plural, second person plural, third person plural. You need to get the stem that you get from the second principal part, knock off the RE, and that's your stem. Woka, 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 woka. All right? Now, the endings that we need, we already have O. So O-S-T, must, tis, nt. All right? These words end in T, so those A's do not have vowel, but we can put, macron. Those A's do not have a macron, but you can put a macron on second, first, second. All right? Here's a second conjugation verb, debeo, debeira. All right? We have our first person, do the exact same thing, no matter what conjugation a verb is from. If you're conjugating it in the present active, like we're learning this chapter, OST, must, is, nt, you can grab that principal part, put it right here. Debeo. All right? Debeo, get our stem from the second principal part, knock off the RE, whatever's left, that is now our stem. Debe, 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 debe. And I'm going slow. If you guys ever want to just write debeo, debes, debet, debe, that's great. I'm just going slow to show everybody exactly how I'm getting what I'm getting. All right? The endings are now S-T, O-S-T, must, tis, nt. The words that end in T are not going to have a macron. The other ones, second, first, and second do. All right? So there you go. Those are your conjugation exercises. All right. And then we have exercise 5, which starts getting into translating. All right, I'm just going to say these out loud so I don't take too long here. All right, remember there are 3 ways that you can translate present tense verbs, and the helping verbs will change. Sometimes even the translation of the verb itself is going to look different with an S or without an S, all that kind of stuff. So here we go. Amant, the ending is NT. NT means they. Ama is the root for love, so they love. That would be the first one. They love, they are loving, they do love. Habes, habeo, habera means to have or to hold. S means you, so you have. You are having. You do hold. Any of those translations are great. I also want you guys to know that habeo can also mean consider. Because you have 2 verbs for holding. You have habeo and you have teneo. Habeo means to like own something. I own this. Yeah, I'm a holder of this house. All right? That kind of thing. But teneo is to like physically hold on to something. Teneo is like hold on to it with your hands. All right, so here's that one. Tenet. That means he has, he is having, he holds, he is holding, and then he does hold. So you need to translate that one. Sorry for messing that up after talking about that one. Tenet is hold, physically hold. All right? Ambulamas, we have we, must means we, ambula, so we walk, we are walking, we do walk. Debatis, so this is one of those other kind of duplicitous verbs that can mean multiple things, all right? But debeo, debera, comes from the, can I talk to you in just one second?
I think I left my laptop.
Oh yeah, I see it, it's right underneath there. All right, so debeo comes from that idea of like debt, owe, like you need to do something, you have to do something. So debatis has tis at the end, so like you should, you owe, you ought to. Those are all fine translations. So that's fine. You are owing, you do owe, but I would take any of those. I would take you owe, you must, you ought to, you should. Those are all possible translations. It just has that like, it's the necessity verb. Somebody ought to do something. That's this verb, all right? Current, they care for, they do care for, they are caring. All right? So let's go ahead and do exercise 6. Here's a little bit of a translation for you. They give you, this is working what I taught you guys at the end of class. This is making sure that you see the number of your subject noun. And because of the number of your subject noun, you need to put the correct ending onto this infinitive, meaning take the stem out of that infinitive and put the correct ending on it. The example they give you is filii, fabulam, and it's so dumb that they gave you that as an example because you guys don't know this word. That's sons, plural, but you've never learned those endings, so I hate that they gave you that as an example. But this is sons, plural, so that's why they took amara, they took the stem from amara, ama, and they added nt. The sons love. That way subject, noun, and verb agree. The sons love the story, all right? Poetai, I is the ending here. So that means that this is a plural subject noun. That is a nominative plural ending. So that means that our verb here, parara, must also be plural. So your answer here should be poetai, fabulas, parant. All right? right? Puella, for mom. All right, puella is singular nominative, so your verb has to be singular. All right, so Carrara can't be currant. It has to be currat. All right? Another thing you can always do to check yourself is to check and make sure the pronouns match up. NT means they. The poets, they. The girl, T means she. So the girl, she. Always check yourself like that because that is one of the most important things in Latin. It's what's going to tell you who's doing what. You'll always see the verb first. You'll know where it is every time. It'll always be at the end of the sentence. These sentences are easy, so they have the subject nouns right at the very beginning, but you guys know that Latin does not depend on word order like that. All right, so just know, find your verb in normal sentences when they've given them to you first, and that will help you find what thing has a nominative ending on it. But now we can work backwards because these are easy sentences. So now tie, we have I, that's a nominative plural ending. So we need to put the third person plural ending onto this one. Amant. The sailors love. The sailors, they love the water. All right. Puellae. The girls. It's different from this one. Puella on number 2. The girls, plural. Videira. All right. So here's a second conjugation verb with an E as its stem vowel. E with a megron. So now we put vident. All right. The girls. They see the wolf, the she-wolf. All right, guys, we're clicking, dude. We're clicking right now. All right, next little bit. All right, this is the last one. All right, now we're working backwards. This is honestly where things get fun. This is where you get to do cooler things. I lost my rag. All right. So you are telling stories. You are telling stories. All right. This is where, and if I were you, and if you did this already, it's not a big deal, and you check your work, and that's fine. But if I were you, and you're watching this before you give this a shot, I would write this down, each of these down, the same way I told you to do that exercise last week, where you would take those Latin sentences, rewrite them, and then skip 3 lines, write the next one, so that you give yourself some space to work this out, all right? Because what I want you guys to do first, whenever you see an English sentence, don't even try to translate anything yet. The first thing you should do when you see an English sentence is you should label it for what everything is inside of it. All right? So you are telling stories. All right? So the questions you should ask yourself are, who are the people in my sentences doing action? Because those are always the subject noun. You are telling. So who's telling? You. Subject noun. Remember, here's one of those versions of the present that has a helping verb in it. You are telling. Don't put are as a verb and then telling as a verb. Nope. Those are combined in Latin. All right? We do a lot of business in English that you don't need to worry about in Latin. You are telling, that's your verb. What are you telling? Stories. So those are the things being told. Those are your direct object. All right? Now this is, just to make sure that you understand that labeling sentences in English is usually pretty easy because the subject noun most of the time is before the verb and then the verb is right before the direct object. Usually that's what happens. All right? So subject, noun, verb, direct object. All right? You don't know the word for you yet, so don't worry about that. However, you do know how to change this verb to say you are telling. All right? And you also know what the word for stories is. It's fabula, fabulae. All right? So that means that you could take fabula, fabulae. Maybe you can't even see that because of the glare, but fabula, fabulae, and you can put the correct ending onto that. Now I am going to make sure that you can see this. So here we go. I, those are your singular endings, but we're looking for stories. So that's got to be in the plural. I, arum, is, us, is. All right? So now, you need to put us as your ending. Because this is direct object, accusative, plural. So the stories should look like this. Fabulas, naras. There you go. You, naras. You are telling stories. All right? Now, the next one we call the poet is poetam vocamus. Poetam vocamus. She takes care of. That's kurat. And daughter should be filiam. Filiam kurat. You plural ought to. So the verb for ought to is debera. So you plural ought to. Debetis. Debetis. All right? Now, here's the thing. You plural ought to care for. Now, what is the version of a verb that translates to do something? If you look back through your notes, you can find it. All right? You ought. Debetis. That's going to go at the very end. Debetis. Because that's the verb of your sentence. But you ought to care for. Guys, that's the infinitive. And you can put that in just like that. Carrara. You ought to care for, and then this is the direct object. The fatherland. All right? Patriam in the accusative singular. Because this is the subject now. This is the verb, you ought. To care for is an infinitive, and you can absolutely label that INF for infinitive to help yourself out. And then the fatherland is the thing being taken care of, so that's the direct object. So we have patriam, the fatherland, to care for, you should. All right? That's how it looks in the Latin. Once again, different language, so it's not going to be the same order, but it all fits together. All the pieces fit together. All right, the next two really quickly are pretty easy. I love Rome. That's just Romam amo, and they expect the sailors. They expect the sailors. All right? Sailors is the direct object. It's plural. So now tas, accusative plural as it's ending. Now tas, and they expect. Expectant, they expect. All right, you guys are going to be set. Good luck studying.